Cleveland native and longtime Chicago resident Rick Gresh has been on one of the top of the Windy City's best of lists for years. In 2001, he was named a James Beard Rising Star of American Cuisine, and his star has continued to rise.
Gresh was recently named the executive chef of Virgin Hotels Chicago, the brand's first U.S. property, and he oversees all food and beverage for the property, including the Commons Club, Miss Rickey's, and 203. Chef Rick, welcome to the dish.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here, and tell us what you brought, because it looks spectacular.
Well, first off, we have our Asian paella there, so it's some grilled tofu and a mixture of grains, little Asian flavors. Next up, the tattooed ribeye. Black truffle ink is tattooed right into the steak.
Wait a minute, stop. Did you just say tattooed?
Yeah, tattooed. So, just like these. And I made some ink out of some food, and basically with a tattoo gun, just sit there and tattoo into the meat.
So what is the flavor profile you're tattooing in there? And because we're seeing images of this, is it just centered in one spot then?
So on the top of the steak usually is the design, and then on the bottom we completely put all the flavor the whole way through, so you get that truffle flavor in the meat.
Did you go to like tattoo school to do this?
No, I actually sat with my tattooist and had a moment and said, "Can we do this?" And he was like, "Yeah, bring it in," and that was the whole idea.
So your arms are inspiration essentially here. I'm looking at.
Yeah, I have a few, so absolutely.
This is certainly our first CBS tattooed
steak.
It is. Yeah.
And what a debut.
Let's talk about your childhood. You grew up in Cleveland, as we mentioned. I would say it's abnormal for a 12-year-old to be reading Bon Appetit magazine, but that was you.
Yeah, well, my family, both my parents worked, and, originally for me it was, my mom was saying, "Hey, can you put the roast in on the oven so when I get home from work it's ready?" And after a couple of months of that, I started having ideas and just really went for it and just started cooking every day. And then when I would play hockey, my family would go off and do their Saturday thing, and I would have to make breakfast for myself. So a lot of kitchen time.
Your first job was, how old were you when you got your first job in?
16.
16.
Yeah.
And you had a specific goal in mind, I understand.
Yeah, well, I wanted a car, and that was the whole thing.
Not just a car, a particular car, right?
Yeah, my first car ever was a '72 Super Beetle, which I still own.
You still own it?
Still own it. Her name's Estelle, after Estelle Getty from the Golden Girls.
Yeah.
And
Estelle still runs?
Well, she's in pieces now. I'm doing a full restore at this point. So
we wish Estelle well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Virgin Hotels in Chicago, because I read that each of the 5 restaurants, it's all a distinct menu, which to me, it seems like it would be wonderful or really, really challenging to get to do that.
Sure. It's a lot of fun to do it because as a chef, I have a lot of creativity in a lot of different areas. So with Commons Club, it's more of a small plate menu using local regional foods. Miss Rickey's is this new American diner, which is just insane, crazy, takes on classic diner dishes. 203 is a coffee shop by day, turns into a wine bar with charcuterie and cheese at night.
Smart.
Yeah, and then I have izakaya dining on the roof.
Can we talk about this drink? Because I understand it has silver flecks in it.
This is the Space Boy. So
the Space Boy?
Space Boy, that's its name.
I love it already.
So John Harris, my bartender, came up with this, and it's meant to invoke the thought of space. So either something from Virgin Galactic, it's tequila based, little silver fleck in there.
This is what you drink before you go up into orbit on Virgin Galactic.
I want to hand this dish over to you, and as I hand it over, I want to ask you if you could have this dish with any person, past or present, and I know I say this as your fiancé is sitting in our green room, who would that person be?
I think it's going to be Jerry Stiller. I think...
interesting choice this morning.
Just to have fun, laughter at the dinner table is so important.
I couldn't agree more. Chef Rick Gresh, thank you so much. And for more on Rick and the dish, please head to our website at CBS This Morning.